Welcome to The Point of View. This is your favorite current affairs show on television. Here on The Point of View, we pick the big topics, we get the right guests, we ask them relevant questions on issues that matter to you. We have a very special show for you tonight, and it's going to last more than an hour because after a few weeks of the election petition, we've come to a very important point. We're going to explain to you what is at stake. We're going to show you what the key issues are, bring you highlights of the main interactions in the court, and then speak to some key spokespersons in this election petition. So it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be long. It's going to be really interesting. I would be joined by some of my guests, my colleagues who have been covering the petition since it started. Selom Adonu, LLB, and of course, Call to the Bar, and Sixudong Ulo, LLB. They'll be joining me to walk us through some of the key issues. We've heard of applications and all kinds of things. We'll also speak to two of the spokespersons. Honorable Dominic Aine is a member of parliament. He's a former attending general, and he's one of the key spokespersons for the petitioner. He will join us to summarize for us what they're looking for, the logic behind some of the issues they took to the court, and what they expect to happen now that we are almost at halftime, if that's a good thing to say. We also have Honorable Kojo Oponkroma, himself a lawyer, Information Minister designate, is also going to join us to explain what the second respondent makes of all of this. Don't forget, the complainant is H.E. John Mahama. First respondent is the EC, led by the Electoral Commission chairperson. And the second respondent is H.E. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president of Ghana. So sit tight, it's going to be exciting. Now, if you want to contribute to the show, which is live, if you're watching on television, send your questions and your comments on the WhatsApp number on the screen. And if you are watching on any of the social media platforms, feel free to join the stream. So it's going to be very interesting. We have a touch screen with some nice infographics to show you. Let me find out if my guest via Zoom are on. Honorable Oponkroma, good evening.
Good evening, Bernard.
It's good to have you. How are you doing?
Blessed and highly favored.
You sound like a charismatic pastor. I like that. Honorable Dominic Aine, good evening. Honorable Aine, good evening. Are you there? I'm sure he's there. We are trying to see if his sound will be put up. Dominic Aine will join us as well. So, Honorable Kojo Oponkroma, great to have you. I will start briefly with you. Come to Mr. Aine, do a few touchscreen gymnastics, and come back to you. So, thank you so much for staying. I know both of you are very busy. Your day starts very early. We appreciate you joining us live. Kojo, would it be fair for me to say we are at halftime when I look at the schedule and the fact that the petitioner has brought two witnesses who have been cross-examined? We appear to be at a certain bridge where we don't know if the first respondent will be grilled or petitioner is going to bring more witnesses. Are we at halftime just based on the flow of the petition, Kojo?
Like the lawyers will say, it depends. And it depends on some parameters. For example, if our preliminary legal objection is anything to go by, then we have probably done about 75% of the journey already. If, for example, the plaintiff, in this case, the petitioner, because it is a petition. In this case, the petitioner has actually completed or has closed his case, as we would say in civil matters or petitions of this nature. Then again, we've crossed the half mark and are waiting on the respondents to elect which path to choose. If we're looking at the raw timelines of about, give or take 43 days, then we've gone way beyond that.
So it really depends.
Significant into the journey, but it depends on which path.
Your understanding from the petitioner side of what is at stake.
Well, let's go back to the very basics. The petitioner has invoked the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to make a number of declarations. Key among them that the declaration of the presidential election results were in breach of Article 63.3. That's partly because, and on the other ground, in their view, upon a proper reckoning of the numbers, nobody got 50% plus one, and a couple of other things. But this appears to be the gravamen of their case. And they are therefore expected, I mean, if you look at the Evidence Act from sections 14 or 17, what they are expected to do is to prove this before the Supreme Court. Now, what they have done so far is all the initial interlocutory applications, which we argued strongly, were designed to, delay the process and stop us from getting to the heart of the matter. After all of those, the court has set out the 5 key questions that it seeks to answer in this entire enterprise, and has invited all parties to file witness statements. If you intend to put a witness up to adduce evidence to support your pleadings, because you have put what we call pleadings or averment before the court in your petition or your response. So you also advertise the number of witnesses you intend to call to adduce evidence to support your pleadings. The petitioner advertised 5 and has called 2. And the expectation is that these 2 will adduce evidence which shows that on the balance of probabilities, they are correct when they say nobody got 50%. So they've put Mr. Siedun Ketia in the box. They've put Dr. Kwesa White in the box. We are not sure who else they intend to put in. They have 3 more slots that they've advertised. The expectation is that when they are done, they will formally address the court that they have closed their case. In the American jurisdiction, they'll say, I rest my case. In our jurisdiction, they'll say that they have closed their case. And then they will invite the respondents, or the court will then invite the respondents to take the next line of action. The respondents in a matter like this have 2 courses of action, or 2 parts. One is to invite the court to make a determination that that which they have advanced, which they claim they have closed as a case, does not amount to any case properly in law, meeting the legal threshold that ought to be responded to. It is an option. The other option is to receive the baton, admit that a substantial case has been made, and then now proceed to respond or to adduce evidence, because by that time, then the burden of proof, if you look at Section 17 of the Evidence Act, would have shifted, or if you interpret Section 17, the burden of proof, you can say, will now have shifted onto the respondents, and then they have an obligation to properly respond. That is where we are now. So they've called 2 witnesses. They've tried to advance their case. We don't get the impression that they are done with their case yet, because that would be a bit surprising. But we wait for them to complete their adduction of evidence and then the cross-examination. And when they are done, we will now be in a position to choose the next line of action.
Because, Kojo, there was a lot of speculation in the media that the head of the first respondent, the chairperson, Mrs. Jean Mensah, would be cross-examined today. We of course knew that counsel for petitioner had put in some application for inspection, if you want, of the first respondents' documents or scrutiny of their documents of some kind. But a lot of us in the media were hoping it was being built up as the cross-examination of Mrs. Jean Mensah. You're saying that it's 2 out of 5. So we shouldn't be surprised if, when we go back on Friday, the petitioner's 3rd witness, because don't forget, we've seen only 2 witness statements. So are you saying that it's possible that there could be a 3rd witness who would then submit a witness statement and then be cross-examined on Friday? Is that a possibility?
And that's an interesting twist that I think will show up on Friday, because you remember the court gave orders for the submission of witness statements. So you would expect that the 5 witnesses that they had advertised that they will put in the box to adduce evidence that shows that nobody won the election, they would have filed witness statements for all 5.
Okay.
So that when they have an opportunity to call them, after this first 2, then they'll be calling them. What has happened is that they filed witness statements for 2 by the time the deadline was up. These 2 have been in the box. And so I can understand your media colleagues when they then interpret that to mean that they perhaps don't have any more witnesses to call. because they haven't even submitted witness statements for anybody else. I think that's why your colleagues in the media, our colleagues in the media, were therefore proceeding to understand that then that is it. They will be moving on to call or that will be closing their case, and the court will be inviting the respondents to open a proper response if need be. But again, you are right. They haven't, submitted witness statements for anybody else, and it creates a bit of a quagmire. So we would have to see how the court intends to maneuver that on Friday when we resume the hearing. Whether after that window has closed, they now intend to bring in a witness statement for a potential witness and then put that witness statement in the box. But for us, the substantive thing is this. The burden of proof is on them. You come to court carrying your own burden, and you need to discharge that burden. You need to convince the bench that a case properly so-called exists in law, in accordance with whichever laws that you invoked, and must be responded to. And I'm sure, even if I follow the media commentary from all of you who are, doing an...
All right, so we seem to have a frozen line for Information Minister Kojo Oppong-Nkrumah. This is the point of view. We are live tonight. It's a show that's trying to get to the bottom of the election petition. And the Information Minister is one of the spokespersons, or the Information Minister designate is one of the spokespersons for the second respondent. Now, we also want to talk to Dominic Ayine. We'll cross over. Initially, we tried to see if he was there. We don't know if he's there now. Honorable Dominic Ayine is a member of Parliament. He's a former Attorney General, and he's a respected lawyer. Honorable Ayine, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I understand he's not on yet, so we'll connect to Ayine shortly. So we will do a couple of quick things before we come back to Kojo and Ayine. We would sort of give you an update of where we are with the case. And for that, I'll bring Selam Adonu shortly. What a lot of us may not know is that the case is divided into many phases. So there's the appearance, you enter appearance. There's the trial, or they would call it the pre-trial hearing and all those things before the case itself begins. So the trial actually began a few days ago. There were other things that they were doing. So Selam will take us through some of those things. And then we would then go back to the Zoom and speak to Kojo and Dominic Ayine as well. Sixu Donwulu is also going to join us. This is the point of view. Take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Everything seems to get a little more expensive this time of the year. But keeping your family entertained doesn't have to. Now you can get a GoTV decoder with 1 month of GoTV Plus for the new low price of 89 CDs. That's 24/7 access to your favorite local stars, the biggest names in the game, international movies, and plenty to keep the kids busy. It's a deal you can't afford to miss, so don't delay. Get the limited time offer today. GoTV. Love it.
It's a good day to meet every challenge. It's a good day to want more out of life. It's a good day to wish for it, work for it, go get it. Familiar taste, a delicious indulgent with a flavor you just can't hide. Refreshing energy, gives so much for so little. For a strong performance, you've come to the right place. Good Day Energy Drink. Why wait a minute to enjoy a good day when every second counts? Good Day Energy Drink keeps you going.
Excessive drinking can be detrimental to your health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, pregnant women, and people sensitive to caffeine. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Let's take a moment to talk about money. Life can get a little pricey out there. the passing pleasure of a restaurant meal, a fleeting fast food feast, or those sports magazines you never really finish. But what if you got to watch the big game rather than read about it? And what if that lasted a lot longer? Well, with DSTV, it can. Because with a whole range of different package options to choose from, you can get a whole month's worth of moments for both you and your family at a price you can afford.
I am so excited.
That's right. Only one in exchange for hours of sport, lifestyle,
Love is a game of cat and mouse.
international, local, and kids entertainment.
Let the nerds take over!
It's your moment to enjoy all the moments with DSTV.
It's time to celebrate the talent, the hard work, the dedication, the zeal, and the excellence of the Ghanaian entertainment industry. It's time to honor the timeless music, the rip-cracking comedy, the incredible skill on the fields and the courts, the soulful and poetic words, the majestic walks on the runway, the worlds that were created with motion pictures and photographs, and the cutting-edge fashion design. The Entertainment Achievement Awards will celebrate the best of the best, and you get to decide who earns the coveted spot on the nominees list. Nominate your favorites in any of the categories from the worlds of music, movies, sports, fashion, creative writing, photography, and comedy in the Entertainment Achievement Awards by visiting the website www.entertainmentachievementAwards.com. The countdown to the Entertainment Achievement Awards is on, an institution that will celebrate the creativity, the outstanding personalities, the impact, and the influence of Ghana's entertainment and creative arts industry. For more information, call 0205-973-973. The Entertainment Achievement Awards is powered by City TV and sponsored by Good Day Energy Drink.
Welcome back. This is still the point of view. We have a big show for you tonight. We are trying to bring you various angles to election petition. Very important point we're at. I have on the line Kojo Ponkroma, who's the one of the spokespersons for the second respondent. And I believe I'll have Dominic Ayeni on the line as well. We had initial technical challenges with him. He is one of the spokespersons for the petitioner. He's also a former Deputy Attorney General. Now, before I go back to my guests on the Zoom, I'm going to introduce Selom Adonu. Selom is a lawyer. He's also a media practitioner. To walk us briefly through where we are with the case. So Selom, we the non-lawyers are a bit confused. So people say you were doing a case. They were going to court, but they said they hadn't started the case yet. In fact, the case started only a few days ago. Yet we've been going to court for like 2-3 weeks. So walk us quickly through what has been happening since the the
petition was filed.
Exactly.
So the petition, this petition is in pursuant to Article 63(3) of the Constitution, which says that it provides a way of challenging the election of a president.
Yes.
And it says that it must come by a petition.
Okay.
And the rules of court have detailed out the procedures to use for that. Mm-hmm. So generally, in cases in court can be structured in 4 ways, or into 4 main categories, or into 4 main under 4 main planks, if you like. So one, we have what we call the pleading stage. Pleadings.
Okay.
And then we have what we call the discovery stage. Mm-hmm. We have the trial stage proper, and we have post-trial. So the post-trial will involve addressing and then judgment, etc. So the pleading stage, that is when, for example, the petition was filed. So the petition was filed, you must enter appearance, which means that you have acknowledged that you've been served.
So based on the timetable here.
So this is filing and service. So we'll get back to this schedule proper and some of the issues that have come from it.
And then there's appearance.
So there's appearance and answer. Mm-hmm. So what happens is you file. What you file will be served on everybody in the suit. Now you have to enter appearance. When I sue you, you have to enter appearance either by yourself or by your lawyer.
So the original thing was done by Petitioner Mahamad's lawyers
on the 30th December, I suppose.
Then EC and Nanado's people responded.
Yes, they were served and then they responded.
Good.
After the response, the law gives you 10 days to be able to file your defense or answer or your response to the petition.
10 days.
If that is done, that will also be served on the various
Which is
parties.
why we have seen here 10th day.
So
after the 10 days, you do your pre-trial.
So after the 10th day, it means everybody's been served. Now you start what we call the pre-trial. So the pre-trial, pre-trial, technically is a term used by the commercial courts. Which essentially means that because a commercial court, business people have a way they deal. Business people don't want to go to court, litigate, etc. It wastes time, it destroys relationship, etc. So the concept of pre-trial really is to ensure that the parties are able to sit with the judge and see if they can resolve their issues. But that is not how pre-trial is being operationalized here.
In this petition.
So what we do here actually in the High Court could be called case management conference or case management, where all these things happen. There's discovery. If you have you look at your exhibits, I have this, do you have it? I don't have it. How is this labeled? It's not labeled properly. You do that with the judge.
So at which point did we, the public, start seeing them? Were they doing pre-trial? Were they doing the first P, or they were doing discovery? At what point did we start watching the petition?
So in this particular matter, pre-trial consists of discovery as well. So pre-trial is everything that happens before the hearing proper, which is the trial proper. So everything we're seeing until last Friday, we can classify as pre-trial. That's how come Chachuchi Kata and Co. had issues with the abridgment of the time, because I think they used a day or two for the pre-trial instead of the 5 days that the law gave. And the Chief Justice said they were under strict, they wanted to adhere to the schedule, and that they wanted to expedite the case. So that happens at pre-trial. So we realized that around that time they served notice to admit on the Electoral Commission or the chairperson of the Electoral Commission. The interrogatories also.
So that interrogatories thing was also before the hearing.
Pre-trial, yes, because they argue that the responses from the interrogatories and the notice to admit, the answers from there, will help them determine the witnesses to call. They had earlier advertised they will call 5 people, but depending on the answers given, they may decide to narrow that one down.
So Selom, between hearing and end of hearing, I see 15th to 21st day. So that actually means 6 days
for the hearing. So that's what it is.
So how many days have we done?
So we've done Friday, we've done Monday, we've done Tuesday. So we've done 3 days. But you see, the difficulty with this schedule is that, for example, filing and service. But we know the filing was done in December and it's not in January. The other issue is that we are told from this schedule that it ends in March. But from the 42-day schedule we are running now, it will end somewhere in the middle of February. The other issue too is that how are we counting the days? Are we counting it by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc., Saturday, Sunday, or we are counting them by court days?
Fantastic. Hold on right there. I have Dominic Ayine, the spokesperson for the petitioner on the Zoom. Let me see if you can hear me. Honorable Ayine, good evening.
Yes, Bernard, I've heard you from the start.
Technology is something. I haven't spoken to you this year, so Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Bernard.
Great to have you.
Many happy returns.
Fantastic. So I asked Kojo earlier on whether in his view we're at halftime or middle of the second half or we're in the middle of the first half. And he said it depends. From where you sit, from the petitioner's point of view, where are we in this case in terms of the chronology and whether we are at the middle or the beginning or the end?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think Kojo was right when he said it depends. And that is because at this stage, when the petitioner has not concluded the calling of witnesses, it is difficult for you to say that you have reached halftime. So, for instance, if we had concluded the calling of our witnesses, then it would have meant that it is now left to the first and second respondents to also call their witnesses, adduce evidence, be cross-examined, and then we can say that we have we are about concluding the case. But here's the case: most likely we will still be coming back on some of the issues relating to evidence and the hearing. So we are still far away from being at halftime.
A lot of us in the media thought that the chairperson of the first respondent was going to be cross-examined by counsel for petitioner today. So we're building up with caricatures of Mrs. Jean Mensah and Chachuchi Kata. So it appears we were wrong and that it's possible from Friday, your third witness will probably mount the witness box?
Well, there was an in-camera hearing, and you remember when the Chief Justice came out of the chamber, with the justices and the lawyers, he just announced the fact that the case has been adjourned. That is because the in-camera hearing was confidential, and I would not be in a position on national TV to disclose whatever was decided. But the Chief Justice said it's for hearing, which means that on that day, there will be a hearing. The question is whether or not we will be calling, a fresh witness, okay, and thereby adducing fresh evidence, or it will be the turn of the first and second respondents to put their witnesses on the stand. But Bernard, having said that, let me, clarify a number of issues that I think Kojo raised.
Go ahead.
Which are very important.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, for instance, I think your young lawyer there is doing a fantastic job explaining the schedule of the court as stipulated under CI 99. He mentioned pre-trial. Of course, the Rules of Court Committee use that term. All right. But as he correctly pointed out, it's borrowed from the commercial court context. Right. So basically, the idea was for us to, deal with all the issues that we are currently struggling to deal with: inspection of documents, all right, administration of interrogatories, all right. And as you saw from 2013, better and better particulars. You remember that term became almost like a household term for a lot of people because they were asking for further and better particulars and so on. Okay, so in 2013. We did not have provisions in the Supreme Court rules for case management. And therefore, the court itself had to use its discretion to manage the trial and allowed for the filing of interlocutory applications and, the filing, discovery of documents and so on and so forth. And gave reasoned rulings upon every application. The court gave reasoned rulings, citing authorities, statutory case law authorities, and so on and so forth. All right. This time round, we have a situation where the rules gave us 5 days for case management. Those 5 days were not accorded, the parties. And therefore, that is what we are now seeing, a situation where Ms. Chikate's application for inspection of documents has spilled over into, the hearing of the case itself. And that is where Kojo and his, the Honorable Kojo Nkrumah and his, team from the second respondents stable are now making a case that we are trying to shift the burden of proof. But Bernard, that it cannot be true. When the discovery process is being used by lawyers, it is being used by lawyers to facilitate the efficient disposal of matters that are in dispute. Mm-hmm. It is not being used by lawyers to shift the burden of proof. In fact, the burden of proof has not even begun to shift. Okay? So, if Kojo is making this argument today, so in 2013, when they were making applications for interrogatories and for inspection of documents and further and better particulars, pursuant to the same Order 22 of the High Court Civil Procedure Rules, were they attempting to shift the burden of proving their case to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the then EC chairperson? The underlying rationale for discovery is to facilitate the early and efficient disposal of matters. It is not, designed to shift the burden of proof. So,
quick question there. I thought per the explanation we've been given, we have gone beyond discovery because we are now in the main trial. I thought discovery is before the main trial.
That is so, Bernard, and that is the point that I'm making. That discovery is a pre-trial process. Unfortunately, because and look at this, we filed our request to inspect documents, and then as your journalist pointed out there, our notice to admit facts on the 19th of January. Now we filed the petition on the 30th. Okay, by the 19th they had filed answers, which meant that technically pleadings had closed. And when pleadings close, you go on to the pre-trial phase, which is the case management phase. And that is when we file to inspect the document. Now, when the request to inspect documents was served on them, as Mr. Chikata pointed out, they did not even have the courtesy of acknowledging that they have received it and that they are not going to make the documents available. Mm-hmm. They just kept quiet about it. All right, and that is what compelled us, because the rules give them a number of days within which to make the documents available to us, and therefore when we served it on them, we were expecting that they will make the documents available. Mm-hmm. When they failed or neglected to make the documents available, we were compelled to bring a motion, and that was the motion that was heard today. And that is how come that they have the opportunity, opportunistically, to now argue to the Ghanaian public that we are seeking evidence to show up our case, and we are shifting the burden of proving our case on them. In fact, the burden of proof hasn't even started.
Okay, Honorable Ayini, another quick question. Again, from a layman's perspective, we understand that the information you are asking to inspect is already on the website of the EC, and your two witnesses say they have those documents, all those forms. In fact, I think when I read what the justices said in the ruling, they basically said the two witnesses say they have those documents. So is it that you want to check the authenticity of the original because the duplicate is not correct? Can you just explain to us why you are asking for those documents when we believe you have them?
The purpose for inspection of documents depends on the case that you have brought to court. Mm-hmm. All right. So it is not just about authenticity of the documents that another party has. It is about the content of those documents. Okay, so for instance, you have a situation where the Electoral Commission declared Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo president-elect on the 9th of December 2020 on the basis of original copies of documents evidencing valid vote that he had obtained. All right. Now we were given duplicates, of documents in all the polling stations. We were given duplicates of documents in at the constituency collation centers. We were given duplicates of documents at the regional collation centers, and we were supposed to be given duplicates of documents at the head office. Now we are making a case regarding the mathematics of Article 63, Clause 4 of the Constitution. That is to say that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, when he was declared president-elect on the 9th, had not obtained more than 50% of the votes. Yet the person who declared him the president-elect on that day, is claiming that he obtained valid votes that crossed the 50% threshold. We want the base document. What did she base, her figures on? And then the more interesting aspect of this trial is that she changed those figures on the 9th, on the 10th, and subsequently. What did she base the figures on? And mind you, when she did the changes, none of the agents of any of the parties was with her at the time she changed the figures. So we want the originals of the documents based upon which she made the declaration, so we can cross-check and find out mathematically or arithmetically was she correct in basing those figures on those documents. I don't see how this cannot be.
Okay.
Fair enough. An argument of authenticity. It's not about. Just about authenticity.
I get it. So, but I get it. I just want a quick question. And sorry, if I ask you any question which prejudices the case, you can choose not to answer because I don't understand all the rules of how you guys work. So, pardon me. Good. So, the question I have is, if you say that somebody didn't obtain 50%, I guess in the cross-examination of your first witness, which was why first respondent counsel was trying to get him to add up some numbers, right? To essentially, and I think in all the additions he made, at no point did the first respondent get below 50%. So I'm guessing that Counsel Amenuvo, who is the counsel, was trying to prove to the world that based on all the documents they have, no matter how the cookie crumbles, at the end of the day, Nana Addo still got 50% or more. That's the impression I got. In that sense, that is not good for you, right? Or can you explain how you saw that?
Bernard, you see, in the same council Amenuvo, who, by the way, was my best man during my wedding in 2001.
Wow.
All right. The same councillor Amenuvo was on his feet and admitted that from a certain constituency, votes as many as 46,000 were omitted from the addition.
Okay.
I am sure you remember that,
yes,
that point when he, then also you remember during the cross-examination of Asedun Ketia.
Yes.
When Techiman served, the presidential, results of Techiman served was before, in front of Asedun Ketia. It was Akoto Ampah who pointed out to him that when you do the tally, you get over 99,000 votes. But on the sheet in front of Asedun Ketia, it was 97. That was evidence of a difference of 2,000 votes. Now, just for the sake of argument, Bernard, 2,000 votes. John Mahama won Techiman South. Supposing, for the sake of argument, that those 2,000 votes ought to have been added to his tally and they were not added. All right? We got a sheet that says 97,000. All right? If, we ask that we want to see the original, so we can compare the 97 with, whatever you have to be able to say whether or not it matches, because we have a sheet that gives us 99. Supposing that was the case, that we're making. What in God's name is wrong with that approach?
Okay.
All right. There is nothing wrong with that, because you saw it play out on national TV. The fact that errors had been made, 46,000 votes had been left out in the computation, and 2,000 votes had been left out in Techiman South, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Now, Bernard, if the Supreme Court, plays its role as a neutral arbiter in this matter, all right, there ought to be, an order for an audit based upon the evidence that we have, presented so far. There has to be an order for an audit, of the election results.
Okay.
In order for us to be able to accurately, as a country, say that we are satisfied that when Jean Aduke Mensah, declared Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo president-elect on the 9th of December, she did so based upon accurate figures of votes validly obtained from him.
Fair enough.
All right.
And
that is the case that we are making, and we are not relying on the Electoral Commission to make our case. Our case is very solid based upon the figures that she herself had declared.
Honorable Domi, I also need to do case management because I have some time. So please stay with me. Don't go away. I hope Kojo is still there. Honorable Ponkroma, please stay with me.
Yes, Kojo is around.
Good. So I'll do case management and come back in studio to walk with viewers through something, because I think it's important for viewers to also understand what, from our independent point of view, is going on before the two speak. So Kojo, thanks for staying. Selom, I remember during the press conferences, people were talking about 9-0 and things like this. It seems as if there's been a lot of applications since the case started. How many applications have gone? And just summarize for us quickly, which have gone where? Because we don't want two people claiming we've won. So just walk me through how many applications have been put up there, and also who has won what, and whether that means anything. Selom.
All right, so we have about 9
applications.
About 9 applications.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
Yes. So we have the request to admit facts, which is an application of a kind that was served directly on the EC, like you just heard. That response or answers to the request to admit facts having come. If it
so it doesn't. We don't know what they said about it.
We don't know. And indeed, today, Chatuchi Kata, lead counsel for the petitioner, mentioned it. If it had been the High Court, it would have been given 14 days, after which it would have been seen as or considered as.
Are these original facts or new facts?
These are facts that they put to the EC to admit. And the argument is that if you admit this fact, it will help narrow down the issues, because it would have addressed some of the disputes so that we wouldn't need to spar along certain lines, because it would have been admitted already. So there was the application for amendment of the petition
This is from the petitioner.
Yes, if you remember, there was some error
yes.
in some parts of the petition about a rerun between the EC and John Mahama, and it created a lot of political,
So that was granted.
So that was granted because the argument there was that the amendment that they sought to make did not affect any of the grounds, did not affect the relief of.
So this request was from the petitioner.
From the petitioner.
Granted.
So this has been granted.
Application for live
telecast. Before the court would say to consider this, the court had administratively, granted or agreed to do this, which made that application moot.
So it's not as if they granted it.
No, the application was made, but prior to the sitting, the court itself administratively had agreed to do it because the rules, under the rules, you can telecast.
I see.
So
you don't want to say it was granted, it was moot.
So it was moot.
Great.
And that was
so this was from petitioner, this was from petitioner.
Yes, an application for leave to serve interrogatories.
This was the big one.
This was the big one. So this was argued back and forth.
Sorry, before you go, this was 7-0. Everybody agreed.
Yeah, everybody, so unanimous.
Good. This one is moot, so we didn't have a vote.
So
Interrogatories.
Interrogatories. So this one was a big one. The essence of this was to seek leave of the court to serve interrogatories on the respondents.
Yes.
The court did not agree.
This is under case management.
Yes. The court felt that the interrogation, the questions in the interrogation actually mean questions. The questions they wanted the EC to answer were not very relevant to the issues at stake.
So they dismissed it.
So they dismissed it.
And it was unanimous.
Unanimous, so 7-0. Application for review of the court ruling on interrogatories. The Supreme Court has a special jurisdiction called the review jurisdiction under Article
of its own decision.
Of its own decision.
So they added 2 judges.
They added 2 more judges. That is Justice Amadou Tanko
and Mensah Bonsu.
So they considered the application for that review. And
they still came up 9-0.
They dismissed it because
they
thought that they hadn't met the threshold for such a review. Application for leave to file other grounds on this should have come before. What they sought to do here was that they filed the application initially and wanted to review that application, add an additional ground. And then to change one of the points in there.
The basis, but they didn't agree.
But the court dismissed that as well.
Before this application for
so this was 9 people or 9 judges. This was a panel of 9 as well.
Now I remember there was a day that the lead counsel came late, and so Mr. Tony Litha was questioned, and they asked him whether he had brought some stuff, and he said because they were waiting for some review of some kind, they didn't think it would be necessary. So this is where we are, right? Stay of proceedings.
Yes. So what happened there was that, normally, if you file stay of proceedings, you wouldn't want to take a fresh step because that, in essence, may prejudice your case.
So that's why
the court disagreed and said it wasn't a fresh step because there were orders that were made before the application, so they should have responded. They didn't take any step, according to them, because they
didn't want to prejudice.
Yes, and then what they were to do, they included the filing of witness statements. But they said they needed this information to be able to file their witness statements and to determine how many.
So how come on this one you have not said it was dismissed, but you said it was withdrawn?
Yeah. So what happened was the application to stay proceedings until the hearing of the review application. So that was the day the review application and all those things were to happen. So by the time they got there, it almost became moot because the stay wouldn't mean anything anymore because they were just about to hear this. So they withdrew it and it
Which one is this?
Withdrawn. This is the application for abridgment of time. It's closely related to this. This application was supposed to have been heard, stay of execution was supposed to have been heard on the 28th January. EC thought that the gap or the space between the times were too huge or large. So they sought to abridge the time instead of Thursday to bring it to Tuesday.
Good.
So by the time they came back to this, it has also become moot because the time had.
So they also withdrew it.
So they withdrew it.
So the one that happened today is this one.
Of request for inspection of EC's document.
That was also.
So
how come only the petitioner is making applications? I remember the respondent also applied to strike out some paragraphs.
No, I think that was an objection to.
So it wasn't an application.
I don't think it was an application. Objection to the portions of the witness statement of the first witness.
So it looks like
of the petitioner.
From an objective point of view, the petitioner is doing more applications. In fact, all the applications are from the petitioner.
Certainly, so that's how it normally
happens. That's how it's supposed to work.
You have brought a person to court. It's your case to do.
So the
burden of proof is on you. So you have to discharge it.
So this is not irregular.
It's not irregular.
A lot of people, I've seen people on social media say, why are they dismissing everything? But this is your breakdown. So clearly, it's for I can say there are 5 key applications. 4 dismissed, 1 granted, because 1 is moot, the other 2 withdrawn. This one's not. So let me come to Dominica and Kojo there to see what this means, and then we'll move on. So are they there, or they've gone for coffee break?
Bernard, we are here.
Bernard, I'm here. I've been listening to everything going
Great.
on.
Kojo, I'm Kojo and Dominica. Hopefully Selam is on the right path from your perspective, right? Kojo.
Right, fantastic summary by him, by Selam.
Great.
I'll give him an A+.
He'll make a good judge in the future.
He'll make a good judge in the future. Okay. We'll also increase his salary.
In this case, my fees.
So Kojo, when we listen to you guys outside the court, you people use more words than you use in the court. So initially, someone was saying 7-0, 9-0, and all of these things. From what Selam has explained, it seems as if this is normal, that the man who brought the application or the petition is the one who has the burden of proof. So he's the one bringing all these applications. Because sometimes when I hear some of the lawyers from your side, they are like, the petitioner is delaying the case, they are bringing in too many different things. But it appears this seems, I understand what they are trying to do here. So explain to me why some of your spokespersons have been saying that, including you as well, that the petitioner is trying to unduly delay the case based on these applications.
So I think Selam is right when he says that it is your case to do when you bring your petition before the court. And in that regard, you are the one expected to make perhaps a lot more applications. But those applications must be applications that are grounded firmly in law, even if they are generally allowable in accordance with the High Court Civil Procedure Rules, CI 47, which is being admitted and used here at the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court is not the place usually for a trial. It has original jurisdiction in constitutional matters and appellate jurisdiction in civil and criminal matters. But in the case of presidential election petitions, the Supreme Court becomes the place where the full petition is heard, including a trial if you have to go to full trial. So it's expected that, yes, you will bring your applications. But those applications must be grounded in law. So, for example, we have not said so far that the applications that have been made by the petitioner are illegal applications. We have never said that. CI 47 gives you room to make those applications. The justices of the Supreme Court are not dismissing those applications because the law does not allow it. They are dismissing those applications because listening to the arguments of the petitioner and the law and authority that the petitioner seeks to invoke to ground those petitions, they disagree that those petitions do not meet, and Selam used the word, the legal threshold. They are two different things. Initially, you heard our very learned and revered senior, Chachuchi Kata, make extensive arguments about why CI 47, Order 22, etc., should be admitted in the Supreme Court. We are not under the impression that it is not allowable. And indeed, the court has never said that, for example, interrogatories are not allowed or that CI 47 cannot operate. No. It is the substance of the matters that are being raised in law that are not meeting the legal threshold. So, for example, take the very first, but even before I come to that, let me deal with why we argue that they are delay tactics. Because this case is very simple and straightforward. When you say that nobody met the 50% requirement, it is a matter of simple and strict proof. When already you have admitted that you have all the 38,662 pink sheets or the 275 constituency collation sheets or the 16 regional summary sheets. When you have admitted you have all of those and you say that nobody met the 50% threshold, the matter is a very simple one. You add, it's arithmetic, and demonstrate to the court that nobody met the threshold.
Okay.
When you have a petition with pleadings or averments structured as such, and then you come to court and start off with interlocutory applications, for example, of interrogatories, which have no relevance to the case you have put before the court in your own pleadings, then we'll come to the conclusion that what you are just seeking to do is to take the court on a wild goose chase. Because you have said that nobody won 50%, and you have 5 witnesses to prove that. What is the use of this question that whether or not the NCA facilitated the transmission of results? How does that affect 50% plus 1? That at what point in time did the EC chair notice that she had made mistakes? How does that affect your claim that nobody got 50%? And then some of the other, that at what point did we start doing regional collation of presidential results? How does that affect your own pleadings that nobody got 50%? So,
but Kojo, on that point, just a quick point, Kojo. In terms of what they are asking for, I think I saw a sheet where they summarize the 5 things at stake. My question to you is, are you not giving too much weight to the point of nobody got 50%? Is that the only thing they are saying? Or is that the government of what they are saying?
That is the government of their case. Their case is on about 3 main pillars. That there were errors in the declaration, that the declaration, therefore, is unconstitutional, should be struck out as null and void. It doesn't meet the requirements of Article 63, Clause 3. And that upon a proper reckoning of the results, nobody got 50%. So if you look at the key issues that they have brought before the court, and if you look at the issues that the court has set down to settle, that is what goes to the heart of it.
Quick, Selon, is that correct?
So when you have a case...
Hold on, I just want to find out. Selon, is that correct?
Yes,
I just want to be sure.
That's
I want to be sure that you are telling me something that Selon will also agree with. And I'll come to Mr. Ayine to respond to that point as to whether the case is as simple as you make it sound, that Charlie is basically a question of whether the people got the 50% or not, as the main, as you call it, the gravamen of the case. Honorable Ayine, I hope you are listening and taking notes, because I'll come to you shortly. My touch screen is giving me stress. Barcelona, are you saying that that's the main issue?
So essentially that's it. So these are the these are the interrogatories.
No,
I mean, I wanted to get to the issues as set down.
The issues are set forth. You keep talking. I'll find it for you.
There are about 5 issues. The NDC presented more than 10 issues. The NPP also presented quite a number. The EC presented about 3 issues or so. But when you put all that together, that comes to that. The NDC's case essentially is that the petitioner, the second respondent, did not get the over 50% votes as required by Article 63.3. And they say so on the basis of the fact that the declaration of December 9 was erroneous, because the figure given, 30,473,000 or so, did not tally with the calculations. And the assumption that the EC chairperson made, that even if Techiman South, which was not present in that addition, was added to it, to the petitioner's vote, it wouldn't change anything. They argue that if you add that to it, that wrong figure, it comes to 13,500,000 and something. And so if you look at
why would you add it to the wrong figure?
If you add it to the figure as declared on 9th December, it gets to 13.57 something. And when you strike the percentage from what the president-elect at the time got, then that would take him to 49.6%, and that falls short of the constitutional.
So Kojo, if I get them right, if the internal logic of what the EC chairperson did is wrong, the outcome cannot be right. So basically, I think that's what they're saying.
No, first of all, if I just may land on the earlier point, then I'll come to this one.
Okay,
I'm saying that the gravamen of their cases they've put before the court is a very simple one. And that is why when they come with these interrogatories, the court comes to the answer that we are not saying interrogatories are not allowed. So this is the earlier impression that was being created that the court allowed interrogatories in some particular hearing and didn't allow it. It doesn't wash. No, the court is saying that these specific questions, like the ones I've gone through with you, they are not relevant. And if you listen or if you read the transcript, it says relevancy. You have not demonstrated relevancy. I want to come to another matter, for example, the application for supplementary that they put in. And then they cited Elistamaclo and then, put in a few things to try and invoke the jurisdiction of the court or the discretion of the court to achieve that purpose. The court explained clearly that even though supplementary can be filed, they had not succeeded in demonstrating that extraordinary ground that must be occasioned, which was not available in your contemplation at the time you were doing the original submission of case, to allow this in. if you take the other application that they put in, I think today, the court heard them and came to the view that there's a legal threshold that you must meet to convince the court that it should grant you leave, or it should give you the permission to go ahead or it should compel the respondent to make these documents available. That is the principle of necessity for the fair disposal of the matter.
Okay, Kojo.
Again, you have not met that. So why are they scoring 7-0 or 9-0, as you mentioned? Is because the legal thresholds are not being met. You can tell your supporters one thing at a press conference, but you have to meet it in court. Now, let me come to this issue that is just being raised. They are not saying that if you do a proper computation of the results, that's not their case. That if you do a proper computation of the results, nobody gets 50%. No, they are saying that there is a wrong figure that was mouthed by the EC chair on the declaration of the 9th. They themselves say that it's the wrong figure. Then they proceed to say that if you add Techiman South to the wrong figure, nobody will get or will cross that 50% mark. The first question of logic. But if you say the figure is wrong, why would you proceed to add Techiman South to the wrong figure? Because then you know the right figure. So you notice that at many material moments, two parts were occasioned. One was when we gave the very respected Honorable Esidun Ketia a calculator to calculate the figures himself. Don't worry about the wrong figure that the EC chair mentioned. Calculate it yourself. And in the end, you realize that he comes down to 4751.2 plus. Why would you then say that you want to hold on to the obvious verbal error in the result that he mouthed and then proceed to add on Techiman South and use that for this, your analysis, that therefore nobody gets a 50? Okay. So if you look at the issues, let me just read you the issues. The court has admitted all of these so-called errors and infractions. It says, whether or not, based on the data contained in the declaration of the first respondent and second respondent as president-elect, no candidate obtained more than 50% of the valid votes. Issue number 3, whether or not the second respondent still met the Article 63.3 threshold by the exclusion or inclusion of Techiman South. Issue number 4, and here's, I think, one of the issues that we all must pay attention, whether or not the declaration by the first respondent dated 9 December of the results was in violation of 63.3, because that is, what goes to the heart of their issue. And then finally, whether or not all of this so-called alleged vote padding and all these other errors that my learned senior, the respected Ayine speaks of, all these errors, that there was an error in this, there was an error in that, whether or not all of these errors affect the outcome of the presidential election. Because there's a concept we call the materiality concept. If somebody has beaten you in an election with a margin of 500,000 human beings, and you come to court and say that there is a 4,000 error here or 1,000 error here. Ms. Ayine, for example, talks about the admission of a 46,000 exclusion in one of the summary sheets. The question the court will ask that all of these alleged errors, all of these alleged vote padding that you are talking about, are they material enough to change the outcome of who crossed 50%?
Fair enough.
So those are the...
Yeah, we don't know what the court will say. Let me come to Honorable Ayine just to understand the petitioner's understanding, and I'm using a double word now, of what is at stake. Because you said it's very clear. The issue is that based on all that has been argued, Nana Akufo-Addo did not obtain 50%, and therefore there has to be a rerun. Honorable Ayine, what is the, you people call it gravamen, of your case? What are you really saying, if you are still there? Your mic is off, so kindly check the screens. Yes, you muted your mic.
It says.
Good.
So are you there?
Yes, you can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. So you see, it's typical of Kojo in communicating to, skillfully reduce and simplify the matters in a way that gives him an opportunity to spin. But if you look at our petition...
But I think you are not being fair to me.
I'm actually, praising your communication skills. No. Please let me take. When you were speaking, I was quiet and listening to you. You see, Bernard, if you reduce our case just to the declaration in relation to whether or not the Article 63 clause 4 threshold has been crossed, okay, then you are missing an important aspect of the case, which is the constitutionality of the declaration.
Okay.
All right, Bernard, I want Ghanaians to begin to think about the performance of public duties. The EC chairperson is the returning officer of presidential elections. The question is whether and the extent to which, under our law and constitution, she can declare a person president of this republic based upon wrong figures and subsequently correct those figures single-handedly without recourse to the procedures outlined by law. Now, if that happens, that will be a disaster for our constitutional democracy. If that is allowed to happen, then it means that tomorrow, if she decides that Bernard Avle is the president of this republic, all right, she can declare you president and then put out figures, and then no one can challenge her, okay, for so long as, all right, she has an instrument backing those figures. You are not allowed to call for the material evidence based upon which the declaration was made. And I think that is very frightening in terms of the development of a fledgling democracy such as Ghana's. And so the first leg is to declare as unconstitutional, all right, the president-elect instrument CI 135, okay, which stood on the basis of wrong figures on the 9th of December, which figures were then corrected on the 10th of December unconstitutionally and unlawfully, and subsequently corrected. You get it? Now, Bernard, tell me, can we allow an electoral commissioner to single-handedly churn out figures the way she wants, from the comfort of her office, without accounting to the people of this country how she arrived at those figures? This is a very serious matter, and our friends in the MPP, are behaving as if there is nothing at stake. There is everything at stake when it comes to this matter. Can you imagine Afarijan declaring John Mahama president with, say, 60% of the vote, and then subsequently saying that no, John Mahama won 50.1% of the vote? What would the MPP have been saying about the accountability of the Electoral Commission to the Ghanaian people?
Let me just understand something. So you're saying that this is not just mathematics. This is constitutionality. You're saying that it's not just the mathematics of the numbers, but you're saying that because how she arrived at the final figures was mathematically wrong, that means she didn't perform a constitutional duty properly. Is that
is so? So she conducted herself in an unconstitutional and unlawful manner, and we want the court to so declare. And that is how come that we are asking that she should produce the documents based upon which she made those decisions. Remember that the Electoral Commission is an administrative body. Bernard, you keep saying you are not a lawyer, but I'm sure you understand that in Article 23 of the Constitution, and I'm sure Selom will give you a lecture later on if you so desire. Article 23 of the Constitution requires administrative bodies to act fairly and reasonably and comply with all the requirements imposed by law. Now, what does it mean, for instance, let's leave the fairness argument aside. What does it mean to act reasonably? To act reasonably means that you accord reasons for your actions as a public decision maker. No public decision maker is allowed by law to make decisions without explanation. All right? And that is what is meant by accountability. When you account to the people for your decisions, you give them reasons and you give them a basis to believe in the reasons that you have given. And that is the evidence that we are seeking for from the
court. So, Honorable Aine, just to be clear, so yes, if her explanations are reasonable, then it's no longer unconstitutional, it's just a mistake, right?
No. if she based them upon wrong, reasons in law, if she based them upon wrong figures, all right, then you see, in McFoy and UAC, which is a very popular case, Lord Denning famously said that you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. The declaration made on the 9th, okay, stood on nothing. She herself told us that the figures that she gave were wrong. So it's like pulling the plank out of the feet of CI 133. And so why would you pull the plank and expect CI 133 not to fall? So the most logical legal conclusion is that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was wrongly declared on the 9th.
But what baffles me is that you're saying that there has to be a runoff. That suggests that you know that neither got. I'm coming. Let me just finish the question. Neither got 50%. Okay, so yes. Inherent in your claim is a mathematical point, right? Yes. Yet you're saying that her declaration. I was coming to the mathematical point. Let me frame the question. I beg. But yet you're in the same breath saying that her declaration was not based on any, or was based on. You're saying that she didn't have any evidence or any correct method to arrive at the percentages she allocated.
That is so.
Okay. So then if you're saying nobody, so why didn't you say, for example, that Mahama rather got more than 50%? So that suggests to me that you have done some calculation that shows that neither got 50. Instead of saying that Mahama should be declared. Yes. Do you understand me? So good. So you have some mathematical
And so the calculation need not in law be based upon figures that we have.
Okay.
They can law be based upon figures compiled by the public body, mandated by law, to conduct these elections. And that public body is the Electoral Commission of Ghana. And we are saying that based upon their own figures, nobody crossed that threshold. And that is the reason why we are saying that discovery is necessary. All right. Inspection of documents is necessary for us to be able to determine, the extent to which she, declared, the extent to which the figures that she had declared match with the base document based upon which she declared Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo President of the Republic. That is the point that we've been making. And you see, the whole miscalculated, or let me say calculated attempt to say that, you have your own figures. Bring those figures. Now, let me say something. There is a very worrying aspect of CI 99 that I think one of these days must be taken to the Supreme Court itself. Because, you see, the Constitution says any citizen of Ghana can challenge the election of a president. So the constitutional right to challenge the election of a president is not vested in a party that has taken part in the election. So Bernard Avle can challenge the Electoral Commission and say that you have declared the wrong person president of this republic. I will not take it lying down. Now, are they telling me that when Bernard Avle, as a citizen of this country, sues the Electoral Commission and says, I have reason to believe that your declaration is wrong, then Bernard Avle would be made to now go and bring the 275,000, 38,000 pink sheets, 200, do they think that the Constitution places that burden on an ordinary citizen who does not have the machinery and the organizational ability to be able to bring all of this evidence to prove his point? Even if he has it, the law should make it possible for him to access documents, that are in the custody of the public office that has conducted the elections. And Ben, let me.
But can I respond to that?
Yes.
What does the Electoral Commission? They have a motto that says, all right, transparency, fairness, and integrity. What do they have to hide? If they are supposed to be acting in accordance with their motto, what do they have to hide? In any decent democracy, they would have carried all the documents to the Supreme Court and said, take them and then let us go through and see whether
that's a very good question. That's a very good question.
What do they have to hide?
I'll do another quick case management. Kojo, I'll let you answer that question. I'll take a short break because I need to just rearrange myself. So please stay with me. Dominic, please stay as well. Selom is also here. This is still the point of view, trying to understand two of the three sides, what they are saying. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Amazon has made Bezos one of the richest men.
It's a good day to wish for it, work for it, go get it. Familiar taste, a delicious indulgent with a flavor you just can't hide. Refreshing energy, gives so much for so little. For a strong performance, you've come to the right place. Good Day Energy Drink. Why wait a minute to enjoy a good day when every second counts? Good Day Energy Drink keeps you going.
Excessive drinking can be detrimental to your health. Not recommended for persons under 18 years, lactating mothers, pregnant women, and people sensitive to caffeine. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. City TV, it's your world.
I'm indomitable.
Who will emerge the best speller in Ghana? Which students will earn the bragging rights as a Spelling Bee Champion 2021? Come Saturday, February 6th, 2021, we will find out during the national finals of the Spelling Bee. Catch the excitement, the anticipation, spellbinding, and nerve-wracking moments live on City TV at 1 p.m. 60 spellers from 7 cities competing for 1 cup, 1 title. Who will stand tall on Saturday, February the 6th? Join us at 1 p.m. via City TV on DSTV channel 363 and GoTV channel 182 on Saturday to find out more. The Spelling Bee is proudly brought to you by Indomine and supported by DSTV, U.S. Embassy Accra, Rufus Green Parks, Goyle, Ashasi University, Kenyan Airways, Frankie's, Don 24 Osetutu the Second Charity Foundation, The Links Incorporated, and City FM and City TV. The Spelling Bee 2021 National Finals only on City TV.
Your mind pacing, heart racing, and the room is gazing. Please spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
It's time to celebrate the talent, the hard work, the dedication, the zeal, and the excellence of the Ghanaian entertainment industry. It's time to honor the timeless music, the rip-cracking comedy, the incredible skill on the fields and the courts, the soulful and poetic words, the majestic walks on the runway, the worlds that were created with motion pictures and photographs, and the cutting-edge fashion design. The Entertainment Achievement Awards will celebrate the best of the best, and you get to decide who earns the coveted spot on the nominees list. Nominate your favorites in any of the categories from the worlds of music, movies, sports, fashion, creative writing, photography, and comedy in the Entertainment Achievement Awards by visiting the website www.entertainmentachievementAwards.com. The countdown to the Entertainment Achievement Awards is on, an institution that will celebrate the creativity, the outstanding personalities, the impact, and the influence of Ghana's entertainment and creative arts industry. For more information, call 0205-973-973. The Entertainment Achievement Awards is powered by City TV and sponsored by Good Day Energy Drink.
Welcome back to The Point of View. My name is Bernard Havle. I'm here with Selom Adonu, lawyer, journalist, and a lot of things. Kojo Oponkroma, Minister of Information Designate, one of the spokespersons for the second respondent, Dominic Ayine, doctor, also member of Parliament, and one of the spokespersons for the petitioner. Honorable Ayine, I have a question you answer at the end. So be thinking about the answer before Kojo responds. Some people are saying that this whole problem of the management of the case and all of this, the CI 99 and the 42-day threshold, which I am told was designed while you were Deputy AG, was not well thought through. So be thinking about that as well as for your closing. But Oponkroma, you wanted to respond to the point he made about inspection of documents. Hello, and all
Bernard.
of that.
I can't seem to hear you.
Neither of you can hear me. Can you hear me, Kojo? Kojo, can you hear me?
It's the same here.
Yes, I can hear you now.
All right, so I said, Ayine, I have a question for you for the end. People think that some of the challenges we face with case management and the length of time was because of a poorly designed CI 99, the 42-day thing. And that was done in 2016 when you were Deputy AG. So you should take some of the blame for the problems we are facing in this case. Think about that as one of your final answers. But Kojo, you wanted to respond to some of the things.
Just a couple of things.
Yes.
First of all, the onus of proof in a petition of this nature, not a constitutional challenge per se. The onus of proof in a petition of this nature does not change. Whether it's theoretically an ordinary person who is bringing it or an interested party. I shared Dr. Ayine's point that if you look at the attempt by the Supreme Court to interpret who qualifies to bring forward a petition. In fact, at a point, they even argue that it's only the person who lost the election who can bring the petition. I also have a view that may be a bit too far. But there is some reason in saying that it must be an interested party, because the courts are not open for just theoretical litigation, etc. So I think that this argument that if an ordinary person came with a petition, if it was allowed, will the standard of proof be the same? I think yes. If you choose to enter the Supreme Court to bring forward a petition or a challenge to the result, the onus of proof remains on you. Second, you see, there's form and then there's substance. I'm not the one who is simplifying the issues so that I can spin. I mean, I know Dr. Ayine, doesn't mean that in a bad way. So I won't go there. But read the memorandum of issues that the Supreme Court has set out. They have simplified the issues. I'm not the one simplifying. They've simplified the issues. That it is not, for example, if you look at Dr. Kasa White's witness statement and testimony, he was waiting throughout his testimony that he would then adduce evidence that shows that nobody won, or that 63-3 was breached, or that the data contained in the declaration did not amount to the numbers. But after all of those hours, all he kept saying was that he was literally tricked by, Jean Mensah, himself and Ruth. It has totally no relevance even to their own petition or their pleadings.
No. Bernard, that cannot be.
Yes, Kojo, I think that even as a non-lawyer, you could say that maybe they were trying to show that the chairperson acted in bad faith and therefore other things she subsequently did where she may not be a credible person or something.
The pleadings they have before the Electoral Commission, before the court, and the issues as have been set out before the court, they are the things that you should compare to the witness statements and evidence that is being adduced. When we say relevance, we're not saying important. We are saying relevant to the issues before the court. And that's what I'm saying. If the court has set out these issues, and the totality of your evidence is that you were misled or you were tricked by the EC chair to leave the place, how does that change the...
Okay, because let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a quick question there.
I'm not done.
I know. I wanted to on that point. So what? Could you just hold on? What if Mr. Kwesa White's point is that the norm for declaring results, the way we do it normally is that you consult different parties and make sure they don't have any problem. So once you act in bad faith, you've not delivered that responsibility in a way that goes along what Mr. Ayine said, and therefore you didn't act reasonably. Maybe if that was the point.
Bernard, you are bringing me to my third point. My good friend, Dr. Aine, essentially makes the argument that what they are trying to show now is that due process was not full.
Yeah.
Even in correcting the wrongs. And if I tie that to, Professor White's argument, bad faith and due process. But that is not the petition before the courts.
That's a petition. That's a petition.
That is not the petition before the courts. The Supreme
That
Court
is a petition, that is part of the petition.
Doc, if I may make my submission.
Okay, while they are talking, while they are talking, please put up the 5 or 6 things the Supreme Court agreed, the issues. So scroll the issues for everybody to read whilst both of them are talking. So Kojo, please go on. So that everybody will see
this.
Yes.
If you have made your pleadings,
yeah,
and you have structured your case, and the Supreme Court has listened to our answer, and has set out the issues, and then you come seeking to prove other matters that are not an issue before the court. So this matter of due process, I didn't see anywhere in their petition, or even more importantly, in the set of issues or the memorandum of issues as outlined, that due process is one of the issues that is being settled by the court. Now let me deal with the final issue. This question, and I call it, with the greatest of respect, I call it a propaganda question. It's not a question of law, it's a propaganda question about if you have nothing to hide, why don't you want to show the original? The law is clear on the legal threshold that must be met to be granted the discretion of the court to go and inspect originals of documents. That legal threshold has nothing to do with whether or not a party intends to hide something. It's not law. The law is that you have to demonstrate necessity. And today, I think we all heard the argument in court when the respected Chachuchi Kata at length attempted to demonstrate necessity, but did not meet that threshold. And the justices of the Supreme Court came back with a very clear response that there are legal standards you must meet. If you don't meet those legal standards, with the greatest of respect, and I say this with all deference to my seniors in law, if you don't meet that standard, don't throw a propaganda question in that if you don't have anything to hide, why don't you show? Because that is not law.
Okay.
Now, the application to inspect documents is different from the request for admission of facts or the earlier request that was put in by the petitioner. This application was put in when? About 2 or 3 days ago. And we are talking about time.
No.
The initial request is not
Kojo,
this.
please.
The initial request was directed to the EC. True or false?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, and today you heard Counsel Amenuvo raise the issue of timeousness. That if you wanted to become by an application, in fact, after it had not been...
Gentlemen, let me set out the issues. We have just 3 minutes. Let me read out what I have here as the main issues, and I'll meet Aine the chance to respond quickly. Whether or not the petition discloses any reasonable course of action, that's number 1. Whether or not, based on the data contained in the declaration of the first respondent and the second respondent as president-elect, no candidate obtained more than 50% of the valid votes cast as required by Article 63 of the Constitution. 3. Whether or not second respondent still met Article 63 of the Constitution threshold by the exclusion of or inclusion of the Techiman South constituency presidential results. 4. Whether or not the declaration by first respondent dated the 9th of December 2020 of the results of the presidential election conducted on 7 December was in violation of Article 63 of the Constitution. And 5. Whether or not the alleged vote padding and other errors complained of by the petitioner affected the outcome of the presidential election results of 2020. So these are the issues just for the public. Ms. Aine, you have 2 minutes, double barrel question, quick response to Kojo, and answer my question about CI 99 and the way we seem to be rushing the case as some people claim. So you have that final word.
Yes, you see, the whole idea that we call witnesses who did not speak to our case, all right, is not correct and can never be correct. Let's take the case of Pesa White that has been cited by Kojo Opong Nkrumah. All right, when Pesa White took the stand, he gave evidence about what happened in the strong room. Now, what happened in the strong room had, everything to do with, for instance, Form 13. And Bernard, Form 13 is a form on which there is a tally of the presidential votes obtained by each of the presidential candidates. And Kojo was in court, at least I saw him there. He could not have missed the fact that President White gave evidence relating to Form 13 and how it was compiled. The fact that they, as agents of the petitioner, were asked to go and consult the petitioner because they had raised issues relating to the numbers that ought to go into Form 13. And before they could come back, all right, the chairperson of the first respondent hurriedly went ahead, completed Form 13, and went ahead and declared the results. Now, that is material. That is material evidence. And we will be cross-examining them on Form 13 when the time, comes. Now, with respect to your interest in CR 99, Bernard, CR 99 is a product of the Rules of Court Committee, which is, under the Constitution, vested with the power to make rules for both the superior and inferior courts of justice. The Attorney General is a member of that committee. And yes, my former boss, Marietta, Bria Piopong, was a member of that. The chairperson was the former CG. Now, I am not running away from responsibility because the Attorney General Department drafted the instrument, and then but of course, the Rules of Court Committee prepared the instrument and gave it to the drafting division for vetting before it was brought to Parliament for laying. All right. Having said that, even if we were the ones who sponsored CI 99, and CI 99 is working badly, as a country, we need to take a step back and find out whether or not it is serving the purpose for which it was enacted.
Fantastic. I will leave it here. Thank you, Honorable Dominic Ayine, Member of Parliament, former Deputy Attorney General, Honorable Kojo Oponkroma, Member of Parliament, Information Minister Designate, Selom Adonu, lawyer, journalist, and health expert. Thank you so much. Yes, so that's Michael Kwesa White with his nice haircut. We were supposed to have 6 to done, although we didn't have time, so we'll leave it here. Thank you for watching. Good luck to both of you in the case as it continues on Friday. Stay with
Thank
CCTV.
you very much.
We have more.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
Thank you. We have more programs for you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
has been paid to deeply disturbing questions about the largest group of those afflicted, the disabled. In the first of a 2-episode special report, we've been to investigate whether enough has been done to protect the world's most vulnerable people.
governments and states across the world continue to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, a deeply disturbing question.